What if a queen's ambition could rewrite a promise from God? In the heart of ancient Judah, one woman seized the throne in a storm of blood and betrayal. Athalia didn't just want power. She wanted to erase God's plan, but hidden in the shadows was a child, protected, chosen, destined to bring the promise back from the edge of extinction. Could history be repeating itself right now? Could rebellion against God's plan be unfolding again, right in front of us? Stay with us. What you're about to discover might change the way you see everything. In ancient Judah, power didn't just shift, it collided, and at the center of that collision was Athaliah. Raised in the shadow of Jezebel, Athalia knew how to play the game. She didn't just want influence, she wanted the throne. And she was willing to wipe out anyone, even her own family, to get it. But there was a problem. The throne she claimed wasn't just any throne. It carried the promises of God, a covenant that ran through David's bloodline. So the question hangs heavy. How could her reign stand against something God himself put in motion? In the middle of the chaos, a quiet miracle was unfolding. While Athalia ruled in fear, a child was hidden away, protected by a brave woman named Jehosheba and a priest named Jehoiada, two people God would use to turn the story around. This isn't just history, it's a clash between human pride and divine promise. And as we step into this moment, you'll see how God's plan always finds a way, even when it looks like all hope is lost. In the palace of Jezebel, little Athalia grew up watching how power really worked. Her mother wasn't just a queen, she was a force of nature. Jezebel didn't flinch before kings, and she certainly didn't fear the God of Israel. If a prophet spoke out, she silenced him. If truth got in the way, she crushed it. And Athalia? She was watching, learning, soaking it all in. Her world was soaked in idolatry, priests of Baal, whispers of dark rituals, and a hunger for control that never seemed to end. Athalia saw what ambition could do, how far it could take you. And slowly, that same fire began to burn inside her. She didn't just want power. She wanted a throne. But here's where things get deeper. She wasn't just walking in her mother's footsteps. She was walking into a spiritual war. In 1 Kings 18, we see Elijah face off against the prophets of Baal in a showdown that shook the nation. That kind of spiritual tension, it was the air Athalia breathed. Her heart was being formed in a world that defied Yahweh at every turn. What she didn't know was that her hunger for power would eventually collide with something far greater than any king or queen: the promises of God. The covenant he made with David wasn't just history, it was destiny. And Athalia, for all her schemes, was stepping into a story she couldn't control. But this story, it's just getting started. In the palace of Judah, Athalia walked the halls with quiet authority. Her marriage to Jehoram wasn't just about love, it was strategy, a merger of kingdoms, a political win. On the outside, it looked like a union meant to bring peace. But beneath the surface, something darker was stirring. She didn't waste time. Little by little, Athalia brought in the gods of her childhood, foreign idols, strange altars, rituals that clashed with everything Judah once held sacred. The songs that once filled the temple, psalms, prayers, praise, were slowly drowned out by chants to Baal. This wasn't just politics. It was a spiritual takeover. Deuteronomy warned them, "Don't be seduced by other gods." But here they were, slowly drifting. Some out of fear, some out of curiosity, some just going with the flow. And Athalia? She kept tightening her grip, not just over the palace, but over the people's hearts. But here's the beautiful twist. While she tried to erase the line of David, God was already moving, quietly, invisibly. A remnant was being preserved. The promise wasn't dead. It was just hidden, protected, waiting. Because no matter how powerful a queen may seem, God's plan doesn't break. This wasn't the end. It was the setup. When Jehoram took the throne, something shifted. The weight of his crown wasn't just political. It carried the full pressure of Athaliah's ambition. As queen, she didn't rule from behind the scenes. She moved with precision, purpose. Her influence wrapped around the palace like smoke, hard to grasp but impossible to ignore. With her guidance, Jehoram made one of the kingdom's darkest decisions. He brought Baal worship back into the heart of Judah. Altars to Yahweh, once vibrant with song and sacrifice, fell silent. In their place rose the towering idols of false gods. This wasn't just a cultural shift, it was spiritual betrayal. A nation, once rooted in covenant, now drifted into chaos. Hosea's warning echoed louder than ever. They have sown the wind, and they shall reap the whirlwind. But Athaliah's ambition didn't stop at idolatry. Anyone connected to David's bloodline, anyone who could challenge her future, was seen as a threat. So she eliminated them, one by one. Royal sons, noble heirs. The palace became a place of mourning. It looked like the promise to David had been crushed for good. But God was still writing the story. In the midst of this darkness, hope was hidden. A small child, a royal heir, preserved in secret, guarded by faith. Unknown to Athalia, the very future she tried to destroy was being protected by unseen hands. Because no matter how fierce the storm, God's promises don't die. They wait, and the resistance, it had already begun. Inside the temple, hidden behind stone walls and sacred silence, a secret stirred. While Athalia ruled with fear and fire, one fragile hope remained. A child named Joash. He was the last living thread of David's line, the only spark left from a promise that once lit up all of Judah. And though the world thought the royal bloodline had been snuffed out, God had other plans. Joash wasn't just protected, he was loved. Hidden by Jehosheba, the sister of the slain king, and raised by Jehoiada, the high priest, Joash grew up surrounded by whispers of prophecy and the steady rhythm of temple worship. The temple itself, once filled with songs and sacrifices, became a stronghold of faith. Quiet, yes, but never powerless. In those hidden chambers, the covenant lived on. For 6 years, Athalia ruled, but within the shadows, God's plan was growing. The priests knew what was at stake. The people were afraid. Idols covered the land. But Joash, small, unseen, stood as a living promise that God's word never fails. Psalm 132 rang in their hearts. The Lord has chosen Zion. This is his resting place forever. And though it felt like the light had gone out, it hadn't. It was just waiting. That same tension is alive today. When injustice seems louder than truth, when culture forgets what's holy, when hope is hiding in plain sight, we're faced with the same question Judah faced. Will we give in to the noise or hold fast to the quiet promises of God? The time for hiding was almost over. Joash was about to rise, and with him, a spark that could set Judah's heart on fire again. In the quiet temple halls, lit only by the soft glow of oil lamps, something holy was unfolding. Jehoiada, the high priest, gathered the faithful. His voice didn't thunder, it steadied. After 6 long years of silence and hiding, the time had come. The child they had protected, Joash, was no longer a secret. He was the promise, the rightful king, the the covenant reborn. This wasn't about politics. It was about purpose, about realignment with God's will. Jehoiada shared the plan, not with fear, but with faith. The prophecy from Isaiah echoed in their hearts. Come, let us walk in the light of the Lord. And now, after years under Athaliah's shadow, that light was finally ready to break through. The people moved with quiet urgency. Levites took their posts, the temple filled with whispers of prayers and the soft rustle of garments. Outside, Athalia still reigned, unaware that her grip on Judah was slipping fast. Then came the dawn. Joash was brought out, dressed in royal robes, small in stature but mighty in purpose. The people gasped. Hope rushed in like a flood. Trumpets sounded, voices rose. The cry echoed through Jerusalem. Long live the king! Athalia heard the uproar. She stormed into the temple court, rage in her eyes, panic in her soul. But it was too late. Her throne built on blood, and fear crumbled beneath her feet. She shouted, "Treason, treason!" But her reign was over. Just like that, the boy king stood in her place. A symbol of restoration, a reminder that when God makes a promise, not even the darkest schemes can undo it. And with Joash's coronation, something deeper happened. Judah's heart began to beat again. The covenant was remembered. The people turned their faces back to God. Take a deep breath. Let the story of Athaliah settle in, not as a distant tale, but as a reflection. Her ambition roared through the kingdom. But the real power? It was quiet, hidden, alive in the heart of a child no one saw coming. Now ask yourself, where are the quiet places in your own life? The dreams you've buried, the fears you've tried to silence, the hope you're not sure you're allowed to feel anymore? Maybe the breakthrough you're waiting for isn't in doing more, chasing harder, or holding tighter, but in trusting the still, small whisper within. It's not about controlling the whole picture. It's about believing that even in the silence, even in the shadows, God is moving. So here's the question. Can you let go of the throne you've built in your mind, the one made of fear, of control, of needing to always have the answer? Because faith doesn't shout. It waits, and in that quiet, it brings peace. You don't have to see it all to know it's real. Just take the next step. Trust the unseen. He's already writing the story. You're just being invited back into it. What will you choose? Athaliah's reign was loud, ruthless, meant to erase a legacy and rewrite God's plan. But it didn't last. Because no matter how powerful ambition may seem, it can't stand against what God has already set in motion. That truth still echoes today. Right now, many of us are facing the same choice. Do we chase control, success, or safety on our own terms? Or do we trust that God's promises are unfolding, even when we can't see them? Just like Joash was hidden in the shadows, there may be things in your life that feel buried, delayed, or forgotten. But what if they're not gone? Just waiting. Waiting for you to believe. Waiting for you to align your heart, not with fear, but with faith. This isn't about looking back. It's about looking deeper. The Spirit still speaks, the covenant still stands, and God is still at work in quiet, miraculous ways. So here's the truth. No throne built on pride can outlast the one built on promise, and nothing can stop what God has ordained for those who walk in His purpose. The question is, will you step into alignment or stay in the shadows? The choice is yours. But the light has already broken through. If this message stirred something in you, don't just scroll away. Take a moment. Reflect. And if you feel led, share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters here. This isn't just a channel, it's a community of seekers, learning and growing together. And if you're not yet subscribed, now's the time. There's so much more to uncover, and each video is a step deeper into the story God is telling in our lives. So stay with us, stay curious, stay open, because the journey doesn't end here. It's just beginning, and we're walking it together.